All right, Mike, I'm on video anyways.
Go ahead.
All right, welcome everybody to our study in the book of John. We're going to be in John chapter 11 tonight, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, we're going to raise somebody from the dead. That's an
I
amazing
will go
thing.
way back here somewhere.
Yep, so it's John chapter 11. I'm using my wife's Bible tonight.
Really?
Mine's in the back seat of her car.
What, you have to stay at the hospital?
No, she had to work today.
Well, she don't work?
She did have to work today.
Oh.
So she works 3 to 11.
I was
Oh,
heading you
yeah.
guys, I was back here
Yeah, she's a
somewhere.
PM nurse.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
11, where I showed you, he's gonna read from,
Yeah,
okay?
so she's in there helping people cut people open.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. And,
that's what my sister does,
Yeah,
surgery,
yeah,
day
yeah.
surgery.
Yeah, she's in surgery, yeah. And now I can talk about it now because we've already finished eating dinner.
Yeah,
I
that's
can talk
fine.
about the cutting and the ripping and all that kind of stuff.
Pulling them
No,
apart.
It doesn't bother anybody?
No.
Nah. You know, that's where we met.
Also waiting to get an operation, that was kind of scary.
Oh,
And sometimes
I-
you're on clothes too.
I love talking to him before I go in for surgery.
Ugh.
No, see, that's where Gail and I met. We were both surgical technicians working in a big OR at the Navy Hospital in San Diego. Way back in the day. Yeah, 1980s, early 80s. So she gets to come home and tell me about it, and I actually know what she's talking about. And it doesn't gross me out. All righty. All right, let's begin with our review of John, at the end of John chapter 10. And it just seems to be this common theme that we keep seeing in the book of John. Either people love Jesus or they don't love him. Do you have anybody in your life like that, that you know of?
That we want?
Is there anybody in your life that you know of that you either love them or you hate them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
You talk
I
to
guess
people who
everybody
say,
does.
I hate
think
him
so.
or I love him. It's
I don't,
it's a
I don't
majority
ever
of
say
people.
I hate people.
Yeah, it's more like,
I don't like 'em.
I don't want to hang around with them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, they've done this with President Obama. I've heard him the most talk about, would you like to have a beer with him? And back when he was running for office,
Yeah.
President Obama and Senator Clinton at the time, who would you rather have a beer with? I'm sorry, I know it may come across, it's not gender at all, it's all, I'd
Yeah.
rather have it with Barack.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, he's a sports fan, plays golf, all right, plays basketball. These are all. We'd have a great time talking. He taught the Constitution
Talk
for the
about
longest
everything.
time. I'd like to talk to him about that.
I was
Wait,
saying
this
how
already-
white his hair
Oh,
is,
back here
because they
somewhere,
had
yeah.
a little thing before I came down. I said, oh my gosh, he has hardly any black hair.
Yeah, but
Oh,
that
man,
happens to
oh,
all the presidents.
I know.
You
They
see them
get
all from when they first
old,
walk in.
Yeah, they
You know,
look
they
so
have-
old when they leave.
Yeah.
Especially if it's 8
And
years,
they-
it's very hard.
And they asked him, could you, if you could run again, would you run? He said, no. He said, I want to be with my family.
Yeah, he's
I've been
done.
away
He's
you
done.
know. So,
I mean, that's hard.
Yeah,
But
that's
but presidents are people that you love or you hate. A lot of people feel that way
Yeah,
about
well-
politicians. Not everybody. No, not everybody. But
I
you
don't-
can
I
get
don't
strong.
like,
You can express strong
what's his
feelings either way.
name, Trump, but I don't hate him.
Right,
I
right. Okay,
dislike
so
him.
Trump you dislike, right? Okay, so we can do the same thing. You either dislike him or you love him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so this is what Jesus is experiencing. It's for the same reasons, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
The reasons why people either love or hate their president or love or hate their governor or even their bosses. Okay? It's all for the same reason that they felt this about Jesus. Why do you think so many people had such a hard time with this, obviously, God on earth?
Well, they were really shocked that he could do so many
The miracles,
miracles.
yeah.
Right? They were shocked by that.
They're shocked by that. And
Jealousy,
they
scare.
just
Jealousy, right?
Jealousy.
Yeah. Remember, he was taking their power away.
Yep.
These were people who really thought that they understood everything about God. I mean, that's the reason why they got paid money. And people loved them, is because, well, they were the chief priests, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the scribes. They were all the guys that were in the know. They were the rock stars of their day, the politicians. And all of a sudden, this guy comes along. How's he dressed?
Holy.
Poorly,
Yes.
like a carpenter.
And yet people gravitated to him,
Well,
and that aggravated them.
right. A lot of people loved him because of the miracles.
Right.
They'll disappear when it comes to his crucifixion, because the good times are over. As we know, even Peter and the other apostles. But Jesus came to this earth to show us God's love and what it means to be in God but not, it doesn't mean anything to do with fancy clothes, nice cars, and beautiful homes. You can still have those things. They're all going to burn. Jesus came to show us that God is love, and this is how we're to treat each other. And it's kind of interesting to see that even when we're rejected, how we're supposed to love. So, if you remember last week, there was a holiday that Jesus was walking through the temple during. It was winter. Does anybody remember what the holiday was?
Hanukkah.
Very good. Right, go Sharon. So it was the Feast of Dedication, otherwise known as Hanukkah, or the Festival of Lights, and they're having to do with the rededication of the temple after the Assyrians had captured it from the Jewish people, and they had desecrated it. You know, pig's blood and all kinds of terrible things. And when these guys called the Maccabees, this family of the Maccabees, led a revolt, they went back to the temple, drove the Assyrians out, and they went inside the temple, and they only had enough consecrated oil for one day to light, and it lasted,
40 days.
that would be the rain at Noah's Ark, okay, but it didn't last 40 days.
7 days.
You're close, you're really close now.
Yeah.
8 days, it lasted
Well,
8 days, which Hanukkah lasts for 8
8
days.
days, yep.
Very good, very good. Hence the reason why we do these celebrations, all right? It helps us remember these things. That's what, again, the 4th of July is not just so we can have picnics, cookouts, and fireworks. Why do we have the 4th of July?
Celebrate
Independence, right, from the Portuguese, right?
Yeah.
Be careful when I say things like that. I'm really tricking you. It wasn't independence from the
Birth of
Portuguese.
the,
I'm not
birth of the
I know, but I'm
nation.
just saying. Yeah, okay, but what are we getting independence from? The 4th of July is independence from
Of the
England,
British,
right,
yeah.
right, specifically Great Britain.
Yeah.
All right, the British.
British, yeah.
All right, very good. That's a trick that I see people asking on the streets of college students. And here's the tough question. What event do we celebrate on the 4th of July? We know it was the birth of the country, stuff like that, but what happened?
Declaration of Independence was
Standing,
signed.
there you go, big A, right. The signing of the Declaration of Independence. Remember, it started out, and actually they had been signing it for a couple of days, and they signed it long after that. But John Hancock gets up there in the Continental Congress, and he signs his nice and big, and then he says this joke. And so that's so King George doesn't need his reading glasses to see his name. So the Festival of Lights, Festival of Rededication, Hanukkah, all right, is a celebration each year of that great military victory. And then for us as believers, it's an opportunity for us to rededicate our lives for the, for the light of the world, that being Jesus. All right, so he's walking through the temple at that time, and he's starting to have a conversation with people, and then he does something. All right, let's go down to verse 25. So I'm sorry, we're in chapter 10, verse 25. I'm just doing the review. Jesus answered them, I have told you. Remember, they're arguing with him, how long are you going to keep us in suspense? When are you going to just tell us you're the Messiah? Jesus answered them, I told you, and you do not believe. The works that I do in my Father's name, these testify of me. But you do not believe because you are not my sheep. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And I give eternal life to them, and they will never perish, and no one will snatch them out of my hands. So he's telling them, that the Pharisees, again, that they don't know who they're dealing with, and that they really aren't paying attention to what Jesus' purpose is here. And that is, again, to rescue man from his sin. These guys do not want to believe that they're in sin. They absolutely don't want to. They even talk to him about this, and they ask him, are you telling us that we're deaf, that we don't hear? Later on, and Jesus tells them, yeah, your ears are all closed. You're not interested in hearing what I have to say. Remember, one of the things they like to punish him for is doing good things.
Because he lied.
Jesus?
Oh, but it's diplomacy.
I didn't understand.
I can't pronounce the word, but it's G-L-A-S-P-H-E.
Blasphemy.
Oh, blasphemy, right, with a B, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, exactly right. They wanted to punish him for blasphemy because why?
Because he said, we want her dancing.
Either, it doesn't matter.
Because a mere man, and Claims to be
Yeah.
God.
A mere man,
that's
exactly right, what Janice is going towards, right? A mere man is claiming to be God. So which verse was it that he says, I am God?
I don't remember that one.
Neither do I, because it's not there.
Oh, okay.
No, so he doesn't do it. He doesn't say, I
No,
claim
it
to be
doesn't say
God.
that, no.
No. But he says things like, I am the Father of one. That's in verse 30. Okay? All right? And, he does forgive sins. And he says other things too. Keeps on referring to him as the Son of God. Okay? And he does that in verse 36. And that's where he said, you were a blasphemer because I said I am the Son of God. This is verse 37. If I do not do the works of my Father, do not believe me. But if I do them, believe that you do not believe me. Believe the works so that you may know and understand that the Father is in me and I in the Father. Therefore, they were seeking again to seize him, and he eluded their grasp. Many came to believe him as a result of these works. And this is where we lead up to the next one. So now we're in chapter 11, and I'll begin reading.
Yep, right
Yep,
here.
I'll begin reading in verse 1. Now a certain man was sick, Lazarus of Bethany, the village of Mary and her sister Martha. It was the Mary who anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. So the sisters sent word to him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom you love is sick. But when Jesus heard this, he said, this sickness is not to end in death, but for the glory of God, so that the Son of God may be glorified by it. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that he was sick, he then stayed 2 days longer in the place where he was. Then after this, he said to the disciples, let us go to Judea again. The disciples said to him, Rabbi, the Jews were just now seeking to stone you, and are you going there again? Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours in the day? If anyone walks in the day, he does not stumble, because he sees the light of this world. But if anyone walks in the night, he stumbles, because the light is not in him. This he said, and after that he said this to them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I go so that I may awaken him out of his sleep. The disciples then said to him, Lord, if he has fallen asleep, he will recover. Now Jesus has spoken of his death, but they thought he was speaking of a literal sleep. So Jesus then said to them plainly, Lazarus is dead. And I am glad for your sakes that I was not there, so that you may believe, but let us go to him. Therefore Thomas, who is called Didymus, said to his fellow disciples, let us also go, so that we may die with him. So when Jesus came, found that he had already been in the tomb 4 days. Now Bethany was near Jerusalem, about 2 miles off, and many of the Jews had come to Martha and Mary to console them concerning their brother. Martha, therefore, when she heard that Jesus was coming, went to him, but Mary stayed at the house. Martha then said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Even now I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Martha said to him, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live even if he dies. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this? Jesus said to him, Yes, Lord. She said to him, Yes, Lord. I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, even he who comes into the world. And when she had said this, she went away and called Mary, her sister, saying secretly, the teacher is here and is calling for you. And when she heard it, she got up quickly and was coming to him. Now Jesus had not yet come into the village, but was still in the place where Martha met him. Then the Jews who were with her in the house, and consoling her, when they saw that Mary got up quickly and went out, they followed her, supposing that she was going to the tomb to weep there. Therefore, when Mary came where Jesus was, she saw him and fell at his feet, saying to him, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. When Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews who came with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and was troubled, and said, Where have you laid him? They said to him, Lord, come and see. Verse 35, Jesus wept. So the Jews were saying, See how he loved him? But some of them said, Could not this man who opened the eyes of him who was blind have kept this man also from dying? So Jesus, again, being deeply moved within, came to the tomb. Now it was a cave and a stone was lying against it. So let's stop there. Okay, an awful lot has just happened. An awful lot has just happened. Going back to verse 1, we get a background story. All right, if you see the beginning of Star Wars, the movie, what do you first see?
No, I didn't go.
You see all the words going there, right? A long time ago in a land far, far away, right? And then he works his way, tells us the whole story. You hear the eerie music in the background, okay? And all of a sudden, then, things explode and we start the movie. So this is your background story. What are we learning from this background story? Jesus, for a certain man was sick, Lazarus at Bethany, in the village of Mary and her sister Martha. Look at verse 2. What can you tell me about this part here where it says, it was the Mary who anointed the Lord with ointment and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick?
Is that the Mary, the one that, was she a prostitute or something? Or
Yeah,
was gonna
that's
be
a debate.
stoned?
That's part of the
The
debate.
stone.
Was she the woman that was caught in adultery? That's a big part of the
She
debate.
became his best friend or something?
Became a very close friend,
Something.
and sometimes even too close of a friend.
close.
Some people would argue.
Hey, he can have a girlfriend.
Well, okay, you can have friends that were girls.
Yeah, that's
Right.
it, right.
Right. So,
Girlfriend.
A friend, yeah.
She had great respect for Jesus.
I heard on the radio, I was listening to a preacher talk about this, that he was saying this is probably one of the best examples of worship you'll ever find. Because the idea of what she was willing to sacrifice for him. So you don't need to turn there, I'll turn there for you. But it's all, the background story, so is in Mark and in Matthew, but it's in Mark 14:3. All right. This, let me just read this one portion here. So yeah, I'll just read it to you. Everybody stay where they're at, because I don't want you to get lost. While Jesus was in Bethany, so there you are, all right, at the home of Simon the leper, and reclining at the table, there came a woman with an alabaster vial, a very costly perfume of pure nard. And she broke the vial and poured it over his head. Okay? And then, all right, so again, we gotta go back 2,000 years. In fact, you don't have to go that far back. There are Bedouins living in the desert right now in Saudi Arabia, in Syria, in lots of places. These are Bedouins. They live in tents year-round, their whole lives. They work with camels. They do travel and things like that too. Well, I don't know if you know this about the human body, but if you don't wash it often enough, something happens to it.
It's dirty.
And
Yeah.
Smells.
stinks.
Yeah.
Okay? And so in these days, they didn't have showers like ours. They didn't shower a lot. All right? It was custom for the Jews that when you went into a home, you took your sandals off and somebody washed your feet. Jesus does that. Remember this before he's crucified. So that was the servant does, is clean your feet for you. So they would wear, what were the three gifts given to Christ at his birth?
Mirrors,
Hold on to the word incense. What was it?
hemp, gold, the mirrors,
Frankincense,
frankincense,
incense, myrrh,
myrrh,
and gold,
gold.
which they really needed because they were about to take a long trip down to Egypt.
Yeah.
Okay, but frankincense, the idea of something perfumey, all right, that helps with the body so you don't stink so much. Now, mind you, they didn't have the same issues with
No.
body smell that we do today. Remember, we didn't know we stunk until about 50 years ago, maybe 60 or 70, when some brilliant marketing person realized that if I tell the American people they stink, they'll shave, men and women, they'll take lots of showers and buy my soap. Okay? Because in Europe, it's different. It is different, all right? But we were sold this. Washing of clothes, right? Everybody just wears clothes for one day type of thing. We change our clothes every single day. Well, obviously, that's a 20th century thing.
Twice a day.
Yeah, some people twice a day. Up into the 20th century, people didn't shower every day. It didn't matter how rich you were. They didn't wear new, clean clothes every single day. They couldn't. They couldn't afford it.
Really?
Really? Remember how women had to clean clothes?
Yeah.
On a stone.
On the stone.
On a stone, or the little grates, and
Yeah.
take it down to the river?
I've
And
done
things like-
that by four fingers,
Yeah, yeah.
washing diapers or.
Right, there you
Right,
go.
on the
on
scrub
the
board.
scrub board.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
Hanging them
Yeah.
on the
right.
line,
Sit 'em
bring
on
them
the
in,
s-
stick
yeah,
with the
that's
board.
Yeah. So men would wear the same clothes day in and day out, and then all of a sudden, I don't know if you remember. I remember what day of the week for my brothers and I was bath day.
We
Saturday.
just talked
Saturday.
about that.
Yeah.
Saturday, because church is on Sunday.
Exactly.
And I said, we used to use the same bathwater.
Yes, she
Right.
did.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, there's a joke about that. That's
Yeah.
like about, I've heard jokes about, well, that's where the term, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
first of all, the first one to get in the tub was your dad, and then it went by age, so the baby was the last one.
Yeah.
And so when you threw the bathwater out, you had to make sure you didn't throw the baby out with it.
They
Okay?
didn't have hot water.
We didn't have hot
They
water.
had
Yeah.
They had to
So
use
that's
stoves.
why,
Yeah.
that's the reason behind it,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a luxury
All right,
when
so
I
can I,
was
can,
little.
I'm gonna quote Bob Dylan. Well, the times they are changing. So again, things are very different. Going back to this first century, okay? The idea of breaking open a jar of perfume and pouring it on a man's head was just the ultimate compliment. Remember, the disciples get upset with her because they could have sold that for the poor, and Mary's preparing him for his burial and all kinds of stuff. So this was just a great act of worship, all right? And then she wipes up the rest with her hair, all right? So again, this is how much Mary loved her Lord, and reasons why some people get a little carried away with their criticisms of the relationship. It wasn't. It was platonic. There's nothing in here to give us any other reason why. So that's verse 2. Verse 3, we're back in chapter 11. Verse 3, so the sisters sent word to him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom you love is sick. Jesus can heal this. He is the great physician. All right? But when Jesus heard this, did he hurry right on over?
No.
No.
What's with that?
He explains it, though.
He does. What does he say?
He says that this sickness will not end in death. He already knew that it was going to glorify him. He said that
I heard a story about this not too long ago.
God's Son might be glorified.
Didn't I hear a story about this not too long ago? Didn't Jesus get this question asked about the blind man from birth? Who was it that sinned? Was it this blind man or his parents? Jesus' answers was?
Neither.
Neither. What was the answer?
Neighbor, he said.
No, he said neither,
This was happened for the glory of God.
just like what Angel just read. All right? By the way, that happens even today. Things happen to us so that God can be glorified. But it requires faith. Okay? So now we're in verse 5. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. By the way, let's pause. We're going to get into this a little bit. What do you guys know about the story about Martha and Mary? Because we're often told we're supposed to be
Yes,
more
they were
Mary than
cousins.
Martha. Oh, they're sisters.
The sisters.
Sisters.
All right. You know the story about when Jesus was teaching and Martha and Mary were there?
Yeah.
Yep.
Martha was running around, and Mary was sitting at Jesus' feet,
Yep,
listening to him.
right. And Martha complained.
Yes.
What was her complaint?
She said, "Tell Mary to help me."
Yes.
And Jesus said, Mary's chosen the greater thing.
Yeah.
I'm only here for a little while.
Martha, you worry too much.
By the way, I love Martha. I don't know if you noticed this. I really like being served. I like eating. I like people taking care of me. I really love Martha.
I'm the
Okay.
opposite way.
You'd rather hang
I'd
out with
rather
Mary.
be-
You'd rather be
No,
serving.
I'd rather be the serving.
You have the gift of serving, which is a spiritual gift, as is Michael, all right?
I feel uncomfortable when somebody else is serving me.
And not me. Not me. You'll see me reclining and having a good time. But that's your gifting. That's what God gave you the gift for. Martha had that gift of serving. She just had one little problem. She can't kvetch about her sister Mary. Complain. That's Yiddish for complain. She can't complain. It's okay to serve. Have all the fun at it.
Yeah.
Knock it out, but you can't complain. All right? Because Mary had a different gifting. All right? I mean, her worship is just awesome. All right. So we just got to keep that in the back of the mind as we go through this, that we're talking about the same Martha and Mary. I'll throw this out at you. Which one went running to Jesus?
Mary.
Nope.
No,
So it's,
Martha.
yeah. Well, we'll see in a second. But yeah, you fell into my trap, said the spider
Yeah.
to the fly. Okay, then after this. So let's go down to where we're at. Verse 6. So when he heard that he was sick, he stayed there 2 days, longer than the place where he was. Then after this, he said to the disciples, let's go to Judea. They're concerned about his safety.
Are we on this page still?
We're on, still in chapter 11, and I'm down to verse 8 now. Can you see, Mary?
Chapter 11, verse 8.
Yep, I'm in chapter 11, verse 8.
Okay, right here.
Yep, all right.
Thank you.
The disciples said to him, Rabbi, which means teacher, the Jews were just now seeking to stone you, and you're going to go there? Right, the Yiddish word is meshugana, right? Are you crazy? Jesus answered, are there now 12 hours in the day? If anyone walks in the day, he does not stumble because he sees the light of the world. But if anyone walks in the night, he stumbles because the light is not in him. Okay, Lord, Father, I got to ask you this question. What the heck are you talking about? How does that answer the disciples' question about your safety?
In other words, you can see better in the daytime than you can at
Which
night.
is the point. But why is he answering the question about going to Judea when they might want to kill him? It's two separate things. And the answer is he's not answering their question. He's teaching. All right? He's teaching. He's also saying it's not my time yet. The time's coming. It's still daylight, though. So let's
But
go and do this work.
He's also saying, I think, too, it says, for he sees by the world's light. So he's basically saying, Jesus is saying that he sees by God's light, not by the
Yep,
world's
yep.
light. He sees God's way, not the world's way.
Yeah,
'Cause
absolutely.
the disciples were seeing the world's way. like-
They fear death,
Yeah.
and he doesn't.
Yeah.
And so, understood, but that's what he's saying. Verse 11. This he said, and after that he said to them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I go, so now I may awaken him of the sleep. It makes sense that the disciples thought, okay, wait a minute, I thought he was, he's just sick, but he's just sleeping. So it's not that big of a deal, right? The disciples then said to him, Lord, if he's only fallen asleep, this is verse 12, Lord, if he has only fallen asleep, he will recover. Now Jesus had spoken of his death, but they thought that he was speaking about a literal sleep. It's understood that they didn't quite understand what he's saying. In verse 14, Jesus then said to them plainly, Lazarus is dead. Did he get a report about that, by the way, anywhere? Did anybody say that Lazarus was dead?
I don't think so.
No, Mary and Martha said he was sick, right? When they sent the message to him?
Yeah.
So now, but Jesus right there in verse 14 said Lazarus is dead.
You had to wait 2 more days so he could die.
Yeah, but did he get a text saying that Lazarus was dead?
From his father, yeah.
From his spirit, from his Heavenly Father. Yeah, and it was, this is, the big words are omniscient, omnipotent, and, omniscient, omnipotent, and there's another word for it, another omni. He's omnipresent, okay? So he's all-knowing, all-powerful, in every place at one time. He talks about this, like, I saw Nicodemus under the tree, even though he was nowhere near him. Jesus, being God, does all these things. Verse 15. And I am glad for your sakes that I was not there, so that you may believe, but let us go to him. In other words, I'm saying this is what happened. You are here with me. You can't see Lazarus. You now know, once we get there, that I was right.
Like he prophesied it to them, right?
Exactly. It's a prophecy. Therefore, Thomas, remember, we love Thomas, right? Thomas is going to check everything out for us.
Is this Doubting
No.
Thomas?
This is Doubting Thomas, okay? But again, he's my guy. I love these guys. No, this is exactly what I would do. If Mike came to me one day and said, the Lord, Mark, is down there at St. Mary's Rectory, I'd be looking at him and going, you've been into the Sacramento wine, brother. You're feeling okay.
Again?
That's what I was going to say, all right? And I would doubt it first. I would be very doubtful. Even if it came from Mike, he was as connected to God as anybody I know. And I'd say, all right, I'll go because I want to see for myself.
You want to see?
I want to see. Therefore, Thomas, who is also called Didymus, said to his fellow disciples, look at this. Let us also go so that we may die with him. What? Remember, they're talking about getting stoned to death. Okay? So Thomas is in saying, hey, let's go. We may as well just pack it all in. Praise God. That's great faith. Verse 17, so when Jesus came, he found that he had already been in the tomb 4 days. Now Bethany was near Jerusalem, about 2 miles off, and many of the Jews had come to Martha and Mary to console them concerning their brother. Excuse me. Let's not forget that this is also the first century. Family members provide income. It is not an easy time to live. All right, there are not a lot of social support structures. And having men is extremely important because things are heavy. So their brother means a lot to them. Obviously, they deeply love him, but it also puts them in a very bad place by losing male members of the family. Verse 20, Martha, therefore, when she heard that Jesus was coming, went to him, but Mary stayed at the house. That's interesting. All right? I just continue to think that Martha's the mover. She's the mover, the shaker. She makes things happen. That's cool. Mary stayed at the house, waiting for Jesus. Martha then said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. She's right. Even now I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you. There's again another statement of faith. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Okay, well, watch what Martha says. She doesn't say, cool, get it going. She's going to speak biblical truth. Verse 24, Martha said to him, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day. It's true. Those of us who are dead in Christ will rise again. But that's not what Jesus is talking about. 25. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live even if he dies. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this? Verse 27. She said to him, yes, Lord. I have believed that you are the Christ, the Son of God, even he who comes into the world. And when she had said this, she went away and called Mary, her sister, saying secretly, the teacher is here and is calling for you. And when she heard it, she got up quickly and was coming to him. Now Jesus had not yet come into the village, but was still in the place where Martha met him. And the Jews who were with her in the house and consoling her, when they saw that Mary had got up quickly and went out, they followed her, supposing that she was going to the tomb to weep there. Therefore, when Mary came where Jesus was, she saw him and fell at his feet, saying to him, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Just the same thing Martha said, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. When Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews who came with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and was troubled, and said, where have you laid him? They said to him, Lord, come and see. What's the shortest verse in the Bible? Jesus wept. Okay? Jesus wept. Wait a minute. Wait, time out. How about? Jesus is weeping why? He's about to raise Lazarus from the dead. He knows he's about to do this.
He sees her hurt.
Yeah, I think he connects with their pain.
Yeah.
I think it goes
Yes.
beyond that.
Also, I think, because it doesn't say he wept when Martha said that, but he did weep when Mary did.
Yep.
I think because maybe his heart connected with her because Mary had such great faith in him, maybe, and,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yep. But there's no one single answer. I think it's a whole bunch of answers like you're giving. I also think right after where he asked, where have you laid him? They said to him, Lord, come and see. He was now going to go see his brother. Now he's joining with Mary and with the consolers and with Martha. And now he begins weeping. But again, he's still raising Lazarus. He's going to do a great thing.
Yeah, but he has to bring back Lazarus back into the world.
Yeah.
He doesn't like that.
I think it's that's a good point.
Yeah.
He could. That's a great good point. You know, because if he leaves Lazarus alone, he's in heaven.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Never thought of that. Say again?
Is that the tomb Jesus goes in after? Does Mary bring him in that tomb?
Yeah, he's going to go into the tomb.
Yeah.
We'll do that next week, but he goes into the tomb. But, you know, that's a good point, Mike. I never thought that way.
Yeah.
I've always thought of it as that Jesus just weeps over the fact that man dies. All of mankind dies. We've all experienced death. Is that fair to say? We've all buried somebody. Some of us very dear, near to us, children included. Okay? Horrible, horrible thing when we lose people, even when we lose Christians. I just think Jesus is weeping for all of us. He came on this earth. He lived just like us. He did things just like us. He went through pain and suffering just like us. And then he did something unbelievably great. He died for us.
When my grandson was born, he thought he came all dressed. And
What?
I had to laugh. I said, "You came all dressed?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "No, you didn't." I said, "You got it on a fanny just like we
You were
did
naked
there."
as you could be.
Oh, he couldn't believe it. He was done. Now he has a kid of his own. He knows that he didn't come dressed.
Oh, when he seen the pictures of himself?
Yeah.
No, he just thought when always was dressed. I guess he never thought he came in this world without clothes. I mean, you know. So I was like, wait a minute, it did come with clothes.
So let me finish. So the Jews saw, were see how Jesus loved Lazarus. But some of them said, could not this man who opened the eyes of him who was blind have kept this man also from dying? They're complaining. So Jesus again being deeply moved within, came to the tomb. Now it was a cave and a stone was lying against it. And that's where we'll stop. We'll pick it up again next week. And we'll finish this off. I know. It's the reason why I give you all the permission in the world to read ahead.
Keep reading.
We all probably did. Come on, that's why we want you to finish.
I understand.
Block that door. Who's with me?
Nobody.
Does someone want to go upstairs?
Oh, yeah.
Wheel of Fortune, right?
No.
But up from the grave he will arise.
Big Bang Theory.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I love that.
I love it too. We'll see you guys next time. Take care.